Welcome, nighttime traveler, to Sleepy Bedtime Stories, your haven of stories and tales to help you sleep. This is the place where traditional tales come to life and accompany you on your journey to rest. But first, tell me where you're listening from tonight and what time it is where you are. I'd love to know if you're joining me from your bed, from a cozy sofa, or perhaps from some corner of the world where you can still feel the spirit of ancient tales. Please leave me a comment. Every message from you is like a fragment of a precious amphora. If you'd like to support this space of peace and relaxation, subscribe and share the channel so that more people can find their refuge here. And now, take a slow, deep breath, because tonight we're going to dive into another thrilling story.
Plant and Animal Biology for Sleep. Chapter 1. The Secret Life of Plants, Photosynthesis, Roots and Natural Communication. There is a garden that never quite sleeps. Not the garden you know in the light of day, with its recognizable colors and shapes, with the movement of the leaves in the wind and the sound of the insects that inhabit it. There is another garden beneath that one, and around that one, and within that one, an invisible garden that works in silence whilst the visible world rests. A garden that breathes, that communicates, that feels, that remembers. A garden that has been doing all that for 400 million years, long before there was any eye capable of seeing it. Long before there was any mind capable of wondering what it was. Plants are the planet's greatest and most visible secret. They are everywhere. They cover the continents with a variety and abundance unparalleled in any other realm of life. There are more than 350,000 known species of plants on Earth, and botanists estimate that there are still thousands yet to be discovered, especially in the tropical forests. Those ecosystems of such extraordinary biological density that science has catalogued barely a fraction of what they contain. Plants constitute approximately 80% of all the Earth's biomass, of the total weight of living matter on this planet. If you were to weigh everything living on Earth, 4/5 of that weight would be plant matter. And yet, we look at them without really seeing them. Most of the time, they are there, forming the backdrop against which the life we consider important unfolds. The movement of animals, the actions of human beings. Plants are the scenery. We think. Plants are the stage. But the stage is alive. And tonight, as you prepare for the deepest rest, the stage is going to tell you its story. It begins where everything begins in the world of plants. With light. Imagine a leaf. Any leaf. The simplest, most ordinary leaf you can imagine. The oval, green leaf of a tree on any street, the elongated leaf of the grass in the park, the round, soft leaf of a pansy in a pot. That leaf, right now, even though it is nighttime and the sun is not shining, holds within it the memory of all the light it received during the day. It holds that memory not in an abstract way but chemically, in the form of complex molecules that are the result of one of the most extraordinary processes occurring in nature: photosynthesis, the conversion of light into life. During the day, every cell in that leaf you're imagining contains tiny structures called chloroplasts, green organelles that are the plant's powerhouses. Inside each chloroplast, within a stack of membranes that scientists call thylakoids, there are chlorophyll molecules, that green pigment which gives plants their color and which is ultimately the most important substance for life on Earth as we know it. Chlorophyll has a molecular structure that allows it to capture photons of sunlight with an efficiency that human engineering has not yet managed to match. When a photon of light strikes a chlorophyll molecule, it transfers its energy to an electron in that molecule, and that energized electron begins a journey through a series of proteins and molecules that make up what is called the electron transport chain. During that journey, the electron's energy is used to pump hydrogen ions across membranes, creating an electrochemical gradient that is used by an extraordinary protein, ATP synthase, to produce adenosine triphosphate, ATP, the universal currency of energy for all life on Earth. And at the end of that process, the plant uses that energy to take carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil and produce glucose, sugar, the fuel that powers all its growth and all its functioning. As a byproduct of that process, the plant releases oxygen, the gas that makes breathing possible for almost every living thing on the planet. The oxygen you are breathing right now was produced by a plant, not metaphorically, literally. Every molecule of oxygen entering your lungs at this very moment was produced by the photosynthesis of some plant or algae, somewhere on the planet, at some point in time, which could be today or thousands of years ago, because the oxygen in the atmosphere mixes and circulates for a long time before being breathed in. The oxygen entering your lungs right now may have been produced by a tree in the Amazon rainforest, or by phytoplankton in the Pacific Ocean, or by ferns in a temperate forest in Northern Europe. All of them contribute to the very air you breathe. Breathe that in now. The gift of plants, the gift they have been giving ever since they first appeared in the primordial oceans, billions of years ago. The first cyanobacteria that began producing oxygen and which, over millions of years, changed the composition of Earth's atmosphere so radically that they made possible all the complex life that would follow, including yours, including ours. Chlorophyll absorbs red and blue light from the solar spectrum. It reflects green light. That is why plants are green, is greater than the green color of a forest, of a garden, of a grassy field, is the light that plants do not need. The light they return to the world because they already have enough of the other frequencies. The green of nature is, literally, the excess of plants. It is what they have to spare. And that excess, that profusion of green which serves no purpose to them, is for us one of the most soothing visual experiences there is. Studies on the human response to color have consistently shown that green, especially the natural green of vegetation, produces a measurable calming effect on the human nervous system. Heart rate decreases, blood pressure drops, levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, decrease. In the presence of natural green, the brain activates the circuits associated with rest and recovery rather than those associated with alertness and the response to danger. The Japanese have a name for this, Shinrin-yoku, which roughly translates as forest bathing. The practice of spending time amongst trees as a therapeutic intervention, and scientific studies consistently support its effectiveness. The green of plants calms us because we have spent millions of years evolving in the presence of that green. Because for our ancestors, green meant vegetation, and vegetation meant food, shelter, and water. Green was the sign that the place was habitable. Green was the color of safety. And that deep association, etched into our biology over millions of years, remains. When we see green, something inside us says, "Here you can stay. Here you can rest." Close your eyes and imagine that green now. The soft, cool green of the leaves of a large tree, seen from below, from the ground, with the sky between the branches. That filtered, diffused light that reaches the forest floor after passing through thousands of leaves. A light that is no longer direct but filtered, softened, transformed by the plants into something gentler and kinder than direct sunlight. That light which, in temperate forests, has that aquarium-like quality, that sensation of being underwater in a place of perfect tranquility. Stay in that light for a moment. Tree roots are perhaps the most underrated system in all of nature. They are hidden. They lie underground, where no one can see them, doing a job that is only noticed when it is not done. But the complexity and sophistication of what goes on in the root system of a large tree is comparable, in terms of biological engineering, to anything that happens on the surface of the ground. A large tree has kilometers of roots, not meters, kilometers. The main roots that provide anchorage and structure to the tree branch out into secondary roots, which in turn branch out into tertiary roots, and so on, until they reach the finest roots, the absorbent roots, which are so thin that they are almost transparent and which have root hairs, microscopic extensions that greatly increase the contact surface between the root and the soil. A large tree can have hundreds of kilometers of absorbent roots, hundreds of kilometers of intake pipes working constantly, absorbing water and nutrients from the soil and sending them upwards towards the trunk, the branches, the leaves. The movement of water in plants defies intuition. There is no heart to pump, no muscle to push. Water rises from the roots to the highest leaves of a tree that may be 40 meters tall entirely without the aid of any active pumping mechanism. It rises by capillary action, due to the adhesion of water molecules to one another and to the walls of the xylem's conducting vessels, those microscopic tubes that run through the entire tree. And it also rises driven by transpiration, because in the leaves, water constantly evaporates through the stomata, those tiny pores on the surface of each leaf, and this evaporation creates a suction force that pulls the water column upwards, keeping it in constant motion from the roots to the leaves. A large tree can transpire up to 1,000 liters of water on a summer's day. 1,000 liters of water that rise from the ground to the highest leaves and evaporate into the atmosphere, adding moisture to the air, contributing to cloud formation, participating in the water cycle in a way that increases local rainfall. Forests rain upon themselves to a certain extent. The water they transpire returns to them as rain. It is a cycle of extraordinary elegance and efficiency. And as that water rises, it carries nutrients from the soil with it, is greater than nitrates, phosphates, potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, and dozens of other elements in trace amounts, all of them dissolved in the water and transported through the xylem vessels to every corner of the tree. And at the same time, in the phloem vessels, that other system of tubes in the tree, the glucose produced in the leaves through photosynthesis travels downwards, towards the roots, towards the developing fruits, towards any part of the tree that needs energy but has no direct access to sunlight. The tree is a machine of flows, machine of currents that rise and fall, that ebb and flow, with a coordination that requires no central brain, no conductor. Each cell responds to signals from its immediate environment, and the overall result is a system that functions with an efficiency and resilience that no human engineering has managed to replicate. Think of the oak, Quercus robur, the pedunculate oak, the tree that, in the temperate forests of Europe and Western Asia, can live for over 1,000 years. A tree that can reach a height of 40 meters and have a trunk diameter of several meters. A tree that, in a single year of maturity, can host up to 500 different species of insects, more than any other tree native to Europe. The oak is not just a tree. It is an ecosystem. It is a living city. And that tree began as an acorn, a seed the size of a small walnut, which fell to the ground in the autumn of some centuries ago, which spent the winter in the soil, and which, the following spring, sent a first root downwards and a first shoot upwards. At that moment, the oak seedling did not have enough chlorophyll to produce all the energy it needed. It depended on the nutrient reserve stored in the acorn, that energy reserve that the mother plant had prepared to give her offspring the best possible start. That first root grew downwards, following gravity and moisture, exploring the soil in search of water and the nutrients it needed to survive those first critical days. The root of an oak seedling is blind, in the sense that it has no eyes or any recognizable sensory organs. And yet, it navigates the soil with a precision that implies the detection of multiple signals, the direction of gravity, the moisture gradient in the soil, the presence of nutrients, temperature, the chemical composition of the surrounding soil particles, the tip of the root, which biologists call the apical meristem, is the area of most active growth and is protected by a cap of specialized cells called the calyptra, which acts as a shield whilst the root makes its way through the soil particles. The calyptra also produces mucilage cells, cells that secrete a mucilage which lubricates the root's passage through the soil and also serves a communicative function. Because this mucilage carries chemical signals that interact with soil microorganisms, establishing from the very first moment the network of relationships that will sustain the tree throughout its life. Soil is not dead earth. Soil is the most densely inhabited ecosystem on the planet. In a single gram of healthy forest soil, there may be billions of bacteria, several kilometers of fungal mycelium, nematodes, mites, springtails, earthworms, and hundreds of other forms of life. The soil is an invisible city of a biological density that the imagination can scarcely conceive. And in that invisible city, the roots of trees and plants are the major infrastructure, the canals and roads around which everything else is organized. The relationship between tree roots and soil fungi is one of the most fascinating discoveries in biology in recent decades. Fungi, those organisms that are neither animals nor plants, but a kingdom of life in their own right, form associations with the roots of most terrestrial plants in a type of symbiosis called mycorrhiza. In these associations, the fungal mycelium, that network of microscopic filaments which forms the main part of the fungus's body, interweaves with the plant's root cells or envelops them from the outside, creating an interface for exchange between the two organisms. The fungus, which cannot photosynthesize and needs to obtain carbon from an external source, receives sugars from the plant, glucose produced in the leaves and transported downwards through the phloem to the roots. In return, the fungus provides the plant with access to soil resources that the roots alone could not obtain as efficiently. The fungal mycelium can explore vast volumes of soil with its microscopic filaments, reaching mineral particles that the roots could not reach, absorbing phosphorus, nitrogen, and other nutrients, and passing them on to the plant. It is a perfect partnership, is greater than. It is an exchange that benefits both parties in a way that neither could achieve alone. But what is truly extraordinary about mycorrhizal networks, and what has captured the imagination of both the scientific and non-scientific worlds alike in recent years, is that these networks do not merely connect a single fungus to a single plant. They connect them to one another. A fungus's mycelium can be associated with dozens of different trees, and the mycelia of different fungi interconnect with one another. The result is that the trees in a forest are connected to one another via an underground network of mycelium that can stretch for hectares, which interconnects individuals of different species and allows the flow of resources, signals, and information between trees that are tens of meters apart. Scientists call this network the Wood Wide Web, the forest's broadband network, a name that humorously captures the functional similarity between these underground networks and human communication networks. And it is not just a metaphor. Through these mycorrhizal networks, trees communicate, not with words, not with visual signals, but with chemical signals that travel through the mycelium in the same way that electrical signals travel through the cables of a computer network. Canadian researcher Suzanne Simard was one of the first scientists to experimentally demonstrate the existence of these resource transfers between trees. In her experiments in the coniferous forests of British Columbia, Simard injected radio-labeled carbon into Douglas fir trees and tracked that carbon as it traveled through mycorrhizal networks to neighboring trees, including trees of different species. She demonstrated that large trees, which she calls mother trees, transfer carbon to young seedlings growing in their shade, which do not receive enough sunlight to produce all the energy they need. The large trees feed the small trees through the network. That idea of trees caring for their offspring through underground networks has an emotional power that goes beyond the merely scientific. Not because trees have conscious intentions, because they do not have them in the sense that we understand intention, but because the functional outcome of that process is indistinguishable from care. The mother tree transfers resources to the seedlings. The seedlings grow better thanks to that transfer. The forest as a whole functions better because each tree supports the trees around it. The forest looks after itself. Every part of the forest looks after the other parts. That is what a healthy ecosystem is. That is what life is in its fullest expression. There is something about that image that invites a sense of calm. The idea that right now, beneath every forest in the world, there exists that silent, invisible network that works, that transfers, that communicates, that sustains. That life is not an individual competition of each organism against all the others, but also, and perhaps fundamentally, a network of mutual support operating on scales we do not normally see. Whilst you rest, the forest works, not in a strident or urgent manner, but silently and constantly, as it always has. The roots exploring the soil, the mycelium connecting the trees, nutrients flowing from where they abound to where they are lacking, the forest regulating itself with a wisdom that needs no central mind to function. That sustains you too, in ways we may not always perceive. The air you breathe, the water you drank today, which passed through leaves and roots before reaching you, the food you ate, which comes directly from plants or from animals that ate plants. Plants are at the origin of everything that sustains you. And tonight, whilst you rest, they continue to work so that tomorrow you have what you need. Let that network sustain you too. Imagine the roots beneath the surface. Imagine the mycelium filaments weaving their web in the darkness of the soil. Imagine the resources flowing slowly, patiently, without haste. That slow, steady flow that is the hallmark of the time of plants, so different from the time of animals, so different from the time of human beings The time of plants is the slowest of all biological times. A tree may take decades to reach full maturity. It may live for centuries. It may grow barely a millimeter a day in difficult conditions. The processes that occur in a plant are measured in hours and days, not in seconds and minutes like the processes of animals. The plant lives on a timescale that makes even an 8-hour human sleep seem like an instant. There is a lesson in that slowness, a slowness that is neither laziness nor inefficiency, a slowness that is the right speed for doing what needs to be done. Roots do not rush because rushing serves no purpose in the soil. The soil requires patience. It requires methodical and constant exploration. It requires being present in every moment without jumping to the next one prematurely. The world's longest living trees are masters of such patience. Pinus longiva, the bristlecone pine that grows in the mountains of the Great Basins of the United States, is the longest living tree species known on the planet. The oldest individuals of this species are over 5,000 years old. The oldest known, which scientists call Methuselah, although they do not reveal its exact location to protect it, is over 4,800 years old. It was born around 2800 BC, when the pyramids of Egypt were being built, when the civilizations of Sumer and the Indus Valley were at their height. That tree has witnessed the rise and fall of every empire that has existed since then. It has witnessed the climate change of the Late Bronze Age. It has witnessed the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, 2 world wars, the Space Age. It has witnessed all this without moving from its spot in the White Mountains of California, on poor, rocky soil, in conditions of extreme cold and drought, which are precisely the conditions that cause it to grow so slowly that its wood is almost indestructibly dense. Methuselah does not know that he is 4,800 years old. He does not know that humans have given him a name. He does not know that scientists make pilgrimages to see him. He simply exists. He simply does what he does, is greater than it photosynthesizes during the months when there is sufficient light and warmth. It stores its resources during the cold months. It sends chemical signals through its roots into the soil. It grows very slowly, 1 ring of wood each year, recording within it every year of its long life. Years of abundant rain with wide rings, and years of drought with narrow rings. A 5,000-year archive of climate written in wood. Each growth ring of a tree represents a year of its life. That science, dendrochronology, the study of tree rings has enabled scientists to reconstruct the climate history of entire regions with annual resolution over thousands of years. Trees are climate archives. Every year is recorded in their wood. Good years and bad years, years of frost and years of heat, years of pestilence and years of plenty. Trees remember, not in the way we remember, but they store in their wood the history of every year they have lived with a fidelity that no human archiving system can match. Communication between plants via the air is another phenomenon that science has documented in recent decades and which has fundamentally changed our understanding of what plants are. When a plant is attacked by a herbivore, by an insect that begins to eat it, the plant does not remain passive. It reacts. It produces defensive chemical compounds that make its leaves less palatable, more toxic, and harder for the attacker to digest. But in addition, many plants release volatile organic compounds, substances that evaporate and travel through the air, which are detected by neighboring plants. And neighboring plants respond to these signals by activating their own defenses before they are attacked. Without having been touched yet, without having been eaten, they prepare for an attack that has not yet occurred, but which their neighbor's chemical message has warned them about. It is a warning. It is communication. It is information traveling through the air between individuals that have neither a brain nor a nervous system. The precise mechanism of how plants detect and process these chemical signals is not yet fully understood. But the fact that they do so has been documented in dozens of different species, from the acacia trees of the African savannas to the tomatoes in a cultivated garden. Acacia trees, when giraffes begin to eat them, release ethylene into the air, and neighboring acacia trees downwind increase the concentration of tannins in their leaves, making them less nutritious, in anticipation of the attack that the giraffes will inevitably launch against them. Giraffes, which appear to have learnt this response over the course of their evolutionary history, tend to move against the wind as they move from tree to tree, to reach trees that have not received the warning from their neighbors. An invisible arms race that takes place in silence, with chemical signals traveling through the air like words in a language without sound. A language with millions of years of history. A language that developed long before any animal walked the earth. But tonight, there are no attacks or defenses. Tonight, the invisible garden is at peace. The compounds traveling through the air of forests and nighttime gardens are the gentlest and most beautiful that plants produce. Terpenes, those aromatic molecules responsible for the pine scent of a coniferous forest, The smell of wet earth after the rain, the scent of lavender, of rose, of jasmine, phytoncides, antimicrobial compounds that trees release into the air and which, in Shinrin-yoku studies, have been linked to lower blood pressure, reduced stress, and a strengthened immune system in people who spend time in forests. The scent of a forest at night is different from that of a forest by day. More intense in some ways, fresher in others. During the day, the sun's heat causes the volatile compounds in plants to evaporate, and the forest's scent is more intense. But when the temperature drops at dusk, the air stabilizes and the scents remain closer to the ground, more concentrated, more persistent. The nighttime scent of the forest is more humid, more earthy, with more notes of moss and soil and fewer notes of resin and flowers. There are flowers that only open at night. The queen of the night, Selanicerius grandiflorus, an epiphytic cactus native to the Caribbean and Central America, opens its flowers spectacularly in the darkness. The flowers, which can be up to 30 centimeters in diameter and are an almost unreal luminous white, open at dusk and close before dawn. They last for a single night, and during that one night they produce a scent described as one of the most intense and intoxicating in the plant kingdom, a blend of vanilla and jasmine and something else that has no exact name, which wafts through the night air, attracting the moths that are its pollinators. A single night, a single opportunity, and the flower gives its all in that time, with that total intensity which is the strategy of some organisms, to give themselves completely to the present because the future is not guaranteed. Night blooming jasmine, the night blooming jasmine, the honeysuckle that releases its scent mainly at dusk, all those plants that concentrate their aromatic communication in the hours of darkness, make the night garden a sensory space completely different from that of the daytime garden. A space designed for nocturnal creatures, for moths and bats and certain beetles, but one that we humans can also enjoy, precisely because our senses, freed from the visual dominance that the day imposes on them, become more receptive to scents and sounds. The scent of night-blooming flowers has a documented effect on the human nervous system. Lavender, jasmine, and rose are all scents that reduce anxiety and promote sleep, according to numerous studies on aromatherapy. It is neither coincidence nor superstition. It is chemistry, is greater than the aromatic compounds in these plants interact with receptors in the nervous system in ways that produce measurable physiological effects. Plants once again, caring for the creatures that live around them, even if that is not their intention, even if it is simply the result of evolutionary strategies geared towards their own purposes. The plant world has its own circadian rhythms. Plants, like animals, have an internal biological clock that measures time with surprising accuracy. This clock, which in plants is regulated mainly by specialized light receptors called phytochromes and cryptochromes, coordinates a huge variety of physiological processes throughout the day and night. During the day, when there is light, the stomata on the leaves open to allow the gas exchange necessary for photosynthesis. At night, when there is no longer enough light for photosynthesis, the stomata close to reduce water loss through transpiration. The flowers of many species open and close their petals in time with the rhythm of day and night, with a punctuality that historical observers found marvelous. Carolus Linnaeus, the Swedish naturalist who established the modern system of classification of organisms in the 18th century, designed a horologium florae, a flower clock, a garden in which different species were planted so that, by opening and closing in their own rhythm, they indicated the time of day with approximate accuracy. The dandelion opened at 6 in the morning, the borage at 7, the poppy at 8, St. John's wort at midday, and so on throughout the day, each species marking its hour with the opening or closing of its flowers. A clock without a mechanism, a clock that runs on sunlight and the chemistry of phytochromes, a clock that has been working like this since long before humans invented the concept of time. At night, when the flowers of the diurnal species are closed, the garden takes on a different geometry. The closed flowers are different shapes, more compact, sometimes more beautiful than when they are open, precisely because what they reveal is their reverse side. Their sepals, the outer structure that protects them. A rose closed at night, with dew gathering on its tightly pressed petals, has the quality of a jewel, of something precious saved for the right moment. Plants store. They store resources in their roots and stems for difficult times. They store the potential of the flower in the bud for weeks before opening it. They store seeds in fruits that protect and nourish them. They store the memory of the signals they have received in their chemical response systems. Plants are, in many ways, organisms of patience and reserve. They do not expend what they do not need to expend. They do not reveal what they do not need to reveal. They save for when the time comes. There is wisdom in that economy, in that ability to hold back, to wait, to quietly gather strength for when the time comes to give. Tonight, you too are storing. You are storing the energy the day has used up. You are storing the experiences, the thoughts, the emotions, so that during sleep the brain can process them, consolidate them, transform them into memory and understanding. You rest your body so that the cells can repair themselves and the systems can be restored. You store everything you are during the hours of sleep, and tomorrow you will recover it, renewed. Plants that grow in deserts are the absolute masters of conservation and patience. The cacti of the Sonoran Desert, which covers parts of Arizona, California, and northwestern Mexico, have developed survival strategies in conditions of extreme scarcity that are models of biological efficiency. The saguaro, that iconic cactus with its raised arms that can reach 12 meters in height, stores water in its fleshy stem during the seasonal rains and lives off that reserve during the dry months. An adult saguaro can store several hundred liters of water. It can survive for months or even years without rain by consuming its reserves very slowly and regulating its metabolism to expend only the bare minimum. The saguaro is also extremely slow growing. In its first 10 years of life, a saguaro may grow by barely 15 centimeters. It does not produce its first flower until it is 35 or 40 years old. Its arms do not begin to develop until it is between 70 and 100 years old. A saguaro you see in a photograph with several well-developed arms is probably over 150 years old. There are saguaros in the Sonoran Desert that are 200 years old or more. That slowness, again, that steadfastness, that dedication to continuing to exist with what is available, without haste, without complaint, with the perfect economy of an organism that knows exactly how much it needs and when to use it. At the opposite end of the spectrum of plant speed are plants that move with visible rapidity. The sensitive plant, Mimosa pudica, that plant whose leaves fold and close in a matter of seconds when touched, demonstrating with a speed that surprises us every time the capacity for rapid movement in a realm we generally associate with stillness. The mechanism is hydraulic. Touch triggers electrical signals that travel through the plant at speeds of up to 20 millimeters per second, causing the rapid collapse of specialized cells at the base of each leaflet. Cells that rapidly lose water through osmosis and, by losing turgor, allow the leaf to close. The mechanism is sophisticated, fast and elegant, and raises questions that philosophers of biology have been debating for decades. Does Mimosa pudica have something analogous to the sensation of being touched? Is there some kind of subjective experience involved in that process of perception and response? The honest answer is that we don't know. That the conceptual and methodological tools we have are not yet sufficient to address that question definitively. But the question itself is fascinating, and asking ourselves that question, seriously considering the possibility that plants have some kind of inner experience, even if it is radically different from our own, changes the way we look at them. We look at them with more respect, with more curiosity, with less condescension. Orchids are perhaps the most extraordinary plants in the plant kingdom from the point of view of the evolutionary complexity of their relationship with animals. There are approximately 28,000 known species of orchids, more than there are birds or mammals, and each species generally has a very specific relationship with one or a few pollinators. Orchids are masters of deception and seduction. Many of them do not produce nectar, which is the reward that most flowers offer their pollinators. Instead, orchids deceive. Some orchids mimic the color and shape of other flowers that do have nectar, attracting insects seeking that nectar with a false appearance. Others mimic the appearance, scent, and texture of the females of certain insect species, attracting males that attempt to mate with what they believe to be a female of their own species and, in the process, transfer or collect pollen. Orchids of the genus Ophrys, found in the Mediterranean and Europe, are the best documented example of this type of deception. Their flowers resemble the females of certain species of bees and wasps with astonishing accuracy, and produce chemical compounds that exactly mimic the sex pheromones of those species. The males of the corresponding bees or wasps attempt to mate with the flowers and, in the process, carry pollen from flower to flower, pollinating the orchid without receiving any benefit in return. The plant deceives the animal. The plant is smarter than the animal. In functional terms, this reversal of the hierarchy we normally assume, in which the animal is the active subject and the plant the passive object, appears time and again when we look at the plant world closely enough. Fruits are another example of this plant cunning. A fruit is not designed to be eaten. It is designed to be eaten, is greater than all the energy the plant invests in producing a sweet, nutritious fruit serves a very specific purpose: to get an animal to eat it and transport the seeds it contains to another place, where the seeds, after passing through the animal's digestive system, are deposited with a little natural fertilizer and germinate far from the parent plant. The apple you see on the tree, the tomato, The plum, the cherry, the mango are all lures. They are gifts that plants give to animals so that they can do the work of dispersing seeds, something that plants, unable to move, cannot do on their own, is greater than. It is a partnership spanning millions of years between plants and animals, a relationship in which both parties have adapted to one another in an evolutionary dance that has produced the extraordinary diversity of fruits and fruit eaters we see on the planet. The colors of fruits have a very clear evolutionary logic. Red, orange, and yellow fruits are visible to birds, which have color vision similar to that of humans. Blue and black fruits are particularly attractive to birds with ultraviolet receptors because these fruits reflect ultraviolet radiation that birds can see, but we cannot. Large, drab-colored fruits that fall to the ground, such as coconuts or avocados, were originally adapted to be eaten by the large mammals of the Pleistocene, mastodons and giant sloths, which would transport their large seeds over long distances. When those animals became extinct, the fruits were left without their original dispersers. The avocado, which we humans now love so much, is in a sense an orphan fruit. Its original disperser disappeared 10,000 years ago, and yet the fruit remains large, rich in fat, with that large seed that no animal is capable of swallowing whole. We, with our orchards and our trade, have inadvertently taken on the role of avocado dispersers, which explains its global spread over the last few centuries. Nature improvises. Nature forges new alliances when the old ones break down. Nature is the most resilient and creative system in existence. Under your bed, if there is soil nearby, or beneath the city's pavement, the roots of some tree or plant are doing their work right now. In the darkness of the soil, at a constant temperature, with the moisture that is there, without knowing whether it is night or day, even though they have their internal clock that tells them it is. The roots exploring, the mycelium weaving, the nutrients flowing. Life never stops, but neither is it in a hurry. Plant life has all the time it needs, which is all the time in the world. Imagine the seeds lying dormant in the ground. There are seeds capable of waiting decades or centuries before germinating, waiting for the exact conditions they need to do so. The seeds of the sacred lotus, Nelumbo nucifera, have germinated after 300 years of dormancy in archaeological sediments in China. Seeds that waited for 13 centuries for the moment to become what they were destined to be. The patience of plants is a patience that does not tire because it cannot tire. It is not an active patience. It is not a patience that counts the days and wonders when the wait will end. It is a patience that simply is, that exists in time without any notion of time, that remains in potential until conditions change, and then, without transition, without deliberation, without doubt, germinates. You too have that patience tonight. The resting body does not wonder when the sleep will end. It is in no hurry to wake. It exists in the time of rest in the same way that the seed exists in the time of waiting. Without counting, without urging, without asking. The leaves that fall in autumn are not the end of anything. They are the beginning of the process that will return their nutrients to the soil. The fallen leaves, as they decompose thanks to the action of fungi, bacteria, and soil invertebrates, release the nutrients they accumulated throughout the growing season. These nutrients will be absorbed by the tree's roots next spring. The tree feeds on its own leaves from the previous year. The death of the leaves nourishes the growth of new leaves. The cycle, the eternal cycle that has no identifiable beginning or end, that simply turns, that simply continues, season after season, year after year, century after century. The tree that sheds its leaves in autumn is not dying. It is storing. It is drawing the nutrients contained in the leaves back into itself before releasing them. A careful and methodical process that can last for weeks and is the reason why the leaves change color before falling. The green chlorophyll is broken down and reabsorbed, and the yellow and red pigments that were always there but were masked by the green of the chlorophyll finally become visible. Autumn is the time when trees reveal their true colors. The colors they had all along, but which the demands of their work forced them to conceal. When the work is done, when the leaf has given all it could give, when the tree has recovered what it needed to recover, then the leaf reveals what it always was. Yellow, orange, red, crimson, purple, and then it falls, and the bare tree awaits winter with a serenity that need not be learnt, for it was never forgotten. That is you too tonight. The tree on the threshold of winter, still, stripped of its thoughts of the day, holding on to what it needs to hold on to, letting go of what no longer serves it, waiting in silence for the moment of the next growth, which will come, which always comes, which has no choice but to come because the cycle never stops. Breathing slows down, like the sap that in winter almost ceases to move in the trees, which slows its pace until it almost stops, which saves its energy for when the warmth returns and sets it in motion again. Slower, deeper. The invisible garden is still there, outside and inside, in the soil and in the air, and in the oxygen entering your lungs. The plants working in silence, the roots exploring in the darkness, the mycelium connecting what seems separate, the nocturnal scents of jasmine and honeysuckle floating through the still night air. Everything in its place, everything as it should be. You too in your place, in the still darkness, like the seed that waits, like the tree that holds, like the flower that will close tonight to open tomorrow, more beautiful. Sleep. Biology of plants and animals for sleep. Chapter 2. The Animal World, Adaptation, Survival and Balance in Ecosystems. There is a moment at the end of the day when the animal world changes shifts. It doesn't happen all at once. There is no sign to herald it except the light itself, which slowly recedes, yielding ground so gradually that if you stand still and watch it, you cannot say exactly when day turned into night. But the animals know. They know with a precision that needs no clocks or calendars. That threshold is etched into their bodies. That exact moment when the amount of light reaching their retinas crosses the threshold that triggers the physiological changes of dusk. And at that moment, those who have been active during the day begin to seek shelter, and those who have been sleeping begin to wake up. It is the oldest changing of the guard on the planet. It has been happening ever since the first animals with eyes capable of detecting light and darkness evolved, over 500 million years ago. It is the most fundamental rhythm of animal life on Earth, predating any civilization, predating any culture, predating any language. It is the rhythm upon which all other rhythms of life have been built. And you, right now, are following that rhythm. Your body knows it is nighttime. Your levels of melatonin, that hormone the brain produces in response to darkness and which signals to the body that it is time to sleep, have been rising over the last few hours. Your body temperature has begun to drop slightly. Your pupils have dilated in the darkness of the room. Your body is doing exactly what mammalian bodies have done at nightfall for hundreds of millions of years. You don't have to try hard. You just have to go with the flow. The rhythm that has been within you since the beginning. The earliest animals did not sleep in the way we do. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say that we do not know for certain whether they slept, because sleep in its most complex form, with its characteristic phases and well-defined restorative functions, is a feature that seems to have become more elaborate over the course of evolution. Jellyfish, those ancient animals that existed over 500 million years ago and have no brain in any conventional sense of the word, have periods of reduced activity that some researchers have begun to describe as sleep-like states. Their movement pulses slow down, their response to stimuli diminishes, and if this phase of reduced activity is interrupted, they compensate with longer periods of inactivity afterwards, as if they needed that rest, as if there was something that this state of reduced activity provided them with that no other state can give them. The need for rest, in some form, seems to be as ancient as animal life itself, so deeply ingrained in what it means to be an animal that even the simplest organisms exhibit it in some form. And that means that when you rest tonight, you are not doing something exceptional or optional. You are doing something that is as much a part of your nature as breathing, as much a part of what it means to be a living being as eating or moving. Rest is not the opposite of life. Rest is the condition of life. Imagine a meadow at dusk in any temperate part of the world. On any continent where meadows exist, the sun is setting, the light is changing in quality, becoming warmer and more horizontal, lengthening the shadows. The meadow's diurnal animals are in the process of ending their day. The field mice, those small mammals with bright black eyes that have spent the day scurrying through the grass, gathering seeds and avoiding predators, begin to make their way back to their burrows. The squirrels that have been foraging and storing food climb up into their trees. The hares, which have been grazing during the warm hours of the day with that nervous, constant vigilance that is the way of life for an animal that is prey to many predators, return to their groups and familiar haunts. And at the same time, the nocturnal animals begin to wake up. The hedgehog that has slept under a mound of leaves all day emerges from its shelter and begins to explore with that extraordinarily sensitive sense of smell, which is its primary sense, sniffing the ground in search of earthworms, insects, and snails. Bats emerge from their roosts in tree hollows or the eaves of a nearby building and begin to trace their erratic yet highly precise flight paths across the meadow, emitting their ultrasonic calls and picking up the echoes returned by insects flying in the warm evening air. The owl, which has been sleeping during the day on the highest branch of an old tree, opens its enormous yellow eyes and begins to scan the meadow with that night vision capable of spotting a mouse 50 meters away in darkness that would be almost total to us. Each in turn, each in its own time. The machinery of the ecosystem operating with an efficiency that is the result of millions of years of adjustments, of competition, of coexistence, of the evolutionary pressure that has led each species to find its niche, its moment, its particular way of living in the world without clashing too much with the others. The concept of the ecological niche is one of the most beautiful and fruitful in all of biology. A niche is not simply a place. It is a set of conditions, of resources, of relationships, of times of day and of the year. An animal's niche includes what it eats and at what time it eats it, where it sleeps and how it sleeps, which predators threaten it and what strategies it uses to avoid them, with which other organisms it shares space and how it coexists with them. A niche is the particular way in which each species exists within the ecosystem. And when many different species occupy different niches, even though they share the same physical space, they can coexist without competing directly for the same resources. The ecosystems richest in biodiversity are those with the most available niches. Coral reefs and tropical rainforests are the most biodiverse ecosystems because they offer the greatest variety of niches, the greatest number of different ways of living in the same space. In a tropical rainforest, there are animals that spend their entire lives in the upper canopy of the trees without ever coming down to the ground. There are animals that live on the ground without ever climbing trees. There are animals that live in the middle layer, between the ground and the canopy. There are animals that specialize in certain species of trees or plants. There are nocturnal, diurnal, and crepuscular animals. There are animals that feed on young leaves and others that eat only mature leaves. Animals that eat only certain fruits and animals that eat only certain insects. Each specialization is a different niche, and each different niche is another way for life to express itself in that space. The Amazon rainforest, the largest tropical rainforest on the planet, covering an area of approximately 5.5 million square kilometers, is the ecosystem with the greatest known biodiversity on Earth. It is home to approximately 10% of all the world's plant and animal species. The numbers are so vast that they defy intuitive understanding. More than 40,000 species of plants, more than 1,300 species of birds, more than 3,000 species of freshwater fish in its rivers, more than 400 species of mammals, and these are only those that have been catalogued. Entomologists estimate that the number of insect species in the Amazon may exceed 2.5 million, the vast majority of which have not yet been discovered or named. 2.5 million species of insects in a single ecosystem, each with its own niche, each with its own way of life, each with its own small evolutionary history spanning tens or hundreds of millions of years. Life in its most exuberant, most extravagant, most astonishing form. At night, the Amazon does not sleep. At night, the Amazon changes its character. The sounds of the day, the racket of parrots and monkeys, the chirping of thousands of birds, the buzzing of diurnal insects, all of that gives way to the sounds of the night. The deep, resonant call of tree frogs that emerge by the thousands to sing on the banks of rivers and lagoons, the chirping of crickets, which in the Amazon reaches such a wealth of species and variety of sounds that it is in itself a musical work of extraordinary complexity. The sound of bats' wings among the leaves, the occasional distant roar of the jaguar. The jaguar is the largest cat in the Americas and the third largest in the world after the tiger and the lion. It is an animal of extraordinary physical perfection, perfectly adapted to life in the rainforest. Its spots, which are not stripes like those of the leopard, but rosettes, circles of dots on a dark golden background, are the perfect camouflage for the filtered, dappled light of the jungle. Its legs, shorter and more muscular than those of the African leopard, give it the strength and stability to move across uneven terrain and to climb trees with an ease that is surprising for an animal of its size. Its jaws are the most powerful of all felines, capable of piercing the skull or shell of its prey, allowing it to hunt caimans, turtles, and a much wider variety of prey than most felines. The jaguar is also an extraordinary swimmer. It likes water, seeks it out, and fishes in rivers with a dexterity that sets it apart from most felines, which avoid water. It is an animal that seems to have made every aspect of its ecosystem its own. The land, the trees, the water, no barrier that a human would recognize as such. But tonight, the jaguar is resting. After a night of hunting, the big cat has retired to its favorite spot, a long, horizontal branch over the river, where, lying with its paws dangling at its sides, it sleeps with that total relaxation and absolute confidence in its own power, possessed only by animals that have no predators to fear. The jaguar rests with its whole body. Its extraordinarily developed muscles, completely free from the tension that dominates them during the hunt, relax into a repose so deep and so complete that it resembles the repose of a stone animal. There is something to envy in the way big cats rest. They harbor no reserves of anxiety for when they wake. They do not sleep half-heartedly whilst part of their mind remains on guard. When they sleep completely, with all the energy of their being directed towards sleep. With that total surrender to rest that is only possible when the body trusts absolutely in the present moment. You too can trust in this moment. Sleeping strategies in the animal kingdom are as diverse as life strategies themselves. Each species has developed a way of sleeping that suits its needs and the risks of its environment. To understand that diversity is to understand that sleep does not have a single correct form, that life has found 1,000 ways to rest, all of them valid, all of them sufficient. Dolphins and whales, those mammals that returned to the sea millions of years ago and need to surface to breathe, solved the problem of sleeping underwater in an extraordinary way. They sleep with half their brain at a time. One hemisphere sleeps whilst the other remains active, keeping watch, controlling breathing, maintaining the movement necessary to prevent sinking. After a certain time, the hemispheres swap. The one that was sleeping wakes up, and the one that was awake goes to sleep. This is unihemispheric sleep. Such an elegant solution to the problem of sleeping in an environment that requires constant vigilance, that it inspires a kind of reverential admiration. Dolphins that sleep in this way remain still near the water's surface, with a pectoral fin gently skimming the surface, rocking with the movement of the sea, in a state that observers describe as one of extraordinary placidity. Half asleep and half awake, half at rest and half on guard. A perfect balance between the need for rest and the need to survive. Birds also use hemispheric sleep, especially when sleeping on the shore of a lake or in an exposed spot where a predator might appear. A duck sleeping on the shore, with one eye closed and the other open, is not a picture of anxious vigilance. It is a picture of perfect efficiency, of the body doing exactly what it needs to do at that moment with the resources it has. Some birds, such as the common swift, a bird that spends most of its life in the air and can fly without landing for months, even years, also sleep whilst flying. Research using geolocation has shown that swifts ascend to great heights at dusk, is greater than glide through the night with minimal muscular effort, taking advantage of air currents, and descend again at dawn. During those nighttime hours in the air, they sleep in a unihemispheric manner, alternating the active hemisphere, drifting asleep over the landscape, moving thousands of meters below, sleeping in flight, resting whilst the wind sustains you, trusting the air just as the tree trusts the ground. Seals and sea lions have another solution to the problem of sleeping in the water. They can do something scientists call vertical flotation sleep or log podding, from the English word log, because the animal floats vertically with its head out of the water like a log, completely motionless, in a state of deep sleep that can last for hours. The seal's body, perfectly buoyant thanks to its thick layer of subcutaneous fat, remains in the correct position without any muscular effort. The seal simply floats and sleeps, with slowed breathing, with the heart beating more slowly, with all systems in minimum energy consumption mode. The hearts of hibernating animals go even further. Hibernation is perhaps the deepest state of rest that exists in the animal kingdom, a state in which metabolism is reduced so dramatically that the animal can survive for months without eating, living off the fat reserves accumulated during the autumn. The brown bear that goes into hibernation in November in a forest in northern Europe or North America has spent the preceding weeks in a state of hyperphagia, of compulsive and continuous eating, accumulating the fat it will need to survive the winter. When it enters its den and its body temperature begins to drop from the normal 38 degrees to temperatures that may hover around 32 or 33 degrees, when its heart rate falls from 40 or 50 beats per minute to barely 10, when its breathing slows to 1 or 2 breaths per minute, the bear is not dead. It is doing something extraordinary. It is living in slow motion. It is existing at a minimum. It is conserving, and in that state of deep torpor, its body continues to function in surprising ways. Pregnant female bears give birth during hibernation. Their cubs are born and begin to suckle without the mother ever fully waking up. Any injuries the bears have when entering hibernation heal during this period, in some cases more effectively than when the bear is active. The bear's muscles, which in most mammals would suffer significant atrophy after months of almost total inactivity, maintain minimal muscle mass loss thanks to mechanisms that scientists are still studying and which could have important medical applications for treating muscle atrophy in immobilized humans. The body of a hibernating bear is a system of extraordinary efficiency. It wastes nothing. It maintains exactly what it needs to maintain and reduces everything else to the bare minimum. It is the perfect economy of life in situations of scarcity. It is the most complete form of rest that exists, taken to its ultimate conclusion. Tonight, your body will also do something similar on its own scale. Your temperature will drop slightly. Your heart rate will slow down. Your breathing will become slower. Your body will reduce energy consumption to a minimum and devote the resources it frees up to restoring what the day has depleted. Your muscles will relax to a depth that is not possible whilst awake. Your nervous system will enter modes of operation that are only accessible during sleep. your brain will carry out the silent work of consolidating memory, of clearing away the waste products of neural metabolism that accumulate during the day, of processing the day's emotions and giving them their place on the map of your lived experience. You don't have to do anything for this to happen. It's already happening. Your body knows how to do it. It has done it every night of your life. It has done so every night of the lives of all your ancestors, going back in time to the first mammals that slept in their burrows underground 200 million years ago. It is the oldest legacy you possess. Sleep, the ability to rest. Animal migrations are some of the most extraordinary phenomena in the natural world. Those journeys of thousands of kilometers undertaken by birds, mammals, fish, and insects as they follow the seasons are one of the most visible manifestations of the balance and interconnectedness of the planet's ecosystems. The wildebeest migration in the Serengeti, that stretch of land between Tanzania and Kenya, which is one of the last African savanna ecosystems to remain relatively intact, is perhaps the most spectacular migration of large mammals on the planet. Every year, between 1 and 2 million wildebeest, along with hundreds of thousands of zebras and gazelles, undertake a journey of over 2,000 kilometers, following the rain and the fresh grass it brings. It is a massive, undulating movement that follows patterns established over hundreds of thousands of years. The Serengeti at dawn, when the first rays of the sun touch the tall golden grass and the morning mist begins to lift, is one of the most beautiful and evocative landscapes on the planet. The distant sound of a herd on the move, the silence of the predators watching from their positions, the air that smells of grass and earth, and that distinctive scent of savanna ecosystems that those who have experienced it never forget. The lions of the Serengeti sleep for 16 to 20 hours a day. They are the large mammals that sleep the most in proportion to their weight. During the heat of midday, when hunting would be hugely inefficient due to the energy expenditure involved in moving in the heat, and because the prey are also resting and are harder to catch by surprise, the lions lie completely still in the shade of the acacia trees, with their eyes closed and their bodies completely relaxed. Sometimes, several individuals sleep piled on top of one another, displaying a mutual trust that speaks to the strong social bonds within lion family groups. This ability to rest completely, to surrender fully to sleep at any time and in any safe place, is one of the most efficient adaptations that felines possess. They do not waste energy worrying about the next moment when they do not need to act. They do not sleep half-heartedly. They do not carry wakefulness into sleep. when it is time to sleep, they sleep with their whole being. At the other end of the animal size spectrum, insects also sleep, although their sleep is different from that of mammals or birds. Bees sleep, and they do so in a way that has fascinated beekeepers for centuries. Worker bees sleep inside the hive, in the empty cells of the comb, with their heads inside the cell and their abdomens outside, in a posture that seems somewhat comical to a human observer, but makes perfect sense for an animal living in a hive. The youngest bees, those with fewer days of life, sleep irregularly and in any available space. The older ones, the foragers who have spent many weeks flying and working, have more defined and deeper sleep patterns, with periods of complete immobility that researchers have been able to record using motion-sensitive instruments. The hive at night is a place of activity very different from that of the day. The noise level, the collective buzzing of the bees, which during the day is constant and loud, is considerably reduced. The temperature inside the hive, which the bees maintain with great precision between 34 and 35 degrees Celsius through the movement of their wings and the generation of metabolic heat, remains stable, albeit with less apparent activity. The hive breathes more slowly at night. Ant colonies also have periods of reduced activity that correspond to the day and night cycle, although in a more variable manner than bees. In some ant species, the workers appear to take turns resting, with one part of the colony active whilst another rests, so that the colony is never completely inactive, but each individual gets a period of recovery. It is a collective sleep management system that bears striking parallels to the shift systems of many human organizations. Leafcutter ants in the rainforest have one of the most complex social systems in the animal kingdom. These ants cut pieces of leaves and carry them back to their nest, not to eat them directly, but to use them as a substrate for cultivating a specific fungus, which is the colony's actual food source. They are farmers. They have been practicing agriculture for approximately 50 million years, long before humans discovered they could cultivate plants. Their underground systems can extend for tens of meters and house millions of individuals. They are the oldest and most successful farmers on Earth. And every night, these colonies of millions of individuals reduce their activity. The flow of workers, which during the day is a continuous stream of moving bodies, each carrying its fragment of leaf like a small green sail above its head, slows down. The entrances to the anthill are reduced to a fraction of their daytime activity. The anthill rests in its collective and partial way, but it rests. Octopuses sleep. and their sleep is perhaps the most extraordinary of all those documented in the animal kingdom, because during sleep, octopuses change color. In the year 2019, a study published with video footage of a sleeping octopus revealed something that captured the world's attention. Whilst sleeping, the animal went through a phase of intense neural activity during which its skin rapidly and dynamically changed color and texture, displaying patterns of spots and colors that researchers interpreted as the possible manifestation of something analogous to dreams, as if the neural activity of sleep were being expressed on the animal's skin. We do not know if octopuses dream in the sense that we dream, but the image of a sleeping octopus whose skin changes color with the patterns of its mental activity is one of the most beautiful and evocative that recent biology has produced. The octopus's mind expressing itself in color upon its own skin. Sleep as a visual spectacle. Imagine if your thoughts were colors, that as you fall asleep you could see the last thoughts of the day dissolving into soft gradients of blue and green, worries fading into shades of gray that vanish, happy memories shining briefly in gold before fading away. A spectacle of color that no one sees but you, within your own rest. Corals, those animals that build reefs, have a daily cycle that is as rigorous and precise as that of any mammal. During the day, the coral polyps remain retracted within their calcareous skeletons, with their tentacles drawn in, whilst the photosynthetic algae living in their tissues use sunlight to produce glucose, which they share with the coral. At night, the polyps expand, unfurling their translucent, stinging tentacles into the water and capturing the zooplankton rising from the depths during the nocturnal vertical migration. Vertical migration is one of the most massive movements occurring in the oceans every day, and takes place in complete silence and is entirely invisible from the surface. Millions of zooplankton organisms, copepods, krill, small jellyfish, larvae of all kinds, rise from depths of hundreds of meters to near the surface every night to feed on the phytoplankton that is abundant in the well-lit surface waters. And before dawn, they descend once more into the dark depths where they spend the day hidden from visual predators. It is the longest migration, in proportion to the size of the animals undertaking it, that occurs on Earth. A 1 millimeter copepod that travels up and down 100 meters every day is doing the equivalent of a human walking 100 kilometers a day. Everything in the ocean moves. Everything in nature moves. Stillness is always relative, always temporary, always the rest between movements. But that rest between movements is the moment when the system recharges, restores itself, prepares for its next action. Elephants sleep barely 2 hours a day. They are, along with giraffes, the mammals that sleep the least of all known large mammals. They spend the rest of the 24 hours eating, walking, socializing, and caring for their young. Their enormous bodies require such large quantities of food that they cannot afford to stop for long. An adult elephant eats between 150 and 300 kilograms of vegetation a day. It needs to spend the vast majority of its time searching for food. But those 2 hours of sleep are enough. They are exactly what their physiology requires. And when they sleep, they do so differently depending on the context. In the safest habitats, elephants lie on their sides, completely on the ground, in deep sleep, with their eyes closed and sometimes with movements of the trunk that researchers interpret as a sign of dream activity. In more exposed places, they sleep standing up, with their eyes partially open, in that state of light sleep, which is more alert, but also more superficial. Elephants sleep in groups, with the young ones in the center, protected by the adults sleeping on the outside. The matriarchs, those elderly females who lead family groups with the authority that comes from decades of accumulated knowledge, sleep the least of all. Their responsibility to the group seems to translate into a vigilance that never ceases completely. The social life of elephants is one of the most complex and emotionally rich in the animal world. Their ability to remember the location of water sources they have not visited for decades, their recognition of other individuals, including individuals from different groups they saw years ago, their emotional response to death, which includes touching the bones of the dead with their trunks, staying by the bodies of deceased companions for hours, and revisiting the places where family members died even years later. Elephants cry, not exactly as we do, but they produce a secretion in the temporal glands that is associated with states of emotional stress. When a member of the group dies, that secretion is visible on the faces of the others. When a group is separated and reunites, the activity of those glands reflects the emotional intensity of the reunion. Elephants remember. Elephants feel. And elephants, like us, need to rest in order to continue feeling everything with such intensity. Whales, which we discussed in another chapter due to their relationship with the ocean, have a social and emotional life that continues to reveal itself to researchers as more complex than was thought possible in non-primate animals. Humpback whales, which sing their songs that change from year to year, display behaviors that researchers describe as play, as curiosity, as something that is hard not to cool joy when a 30-ton whale leaps completely out of the water time and again, in the behavior known as breaching, for no apparent functional reason other than the pleasure of movement or the expression of an internal state of positive arousal. Humpback whales are also known to rescue other animals, seals, sea lions, and sometimes dolphins, from attacks by killer whales. There is no clear evolutionary explanation for this behavior. Researchers document and describe it without being able to explain it fully. The whales, which are not related to these seals, nor have anything to gain genetically from saving them, intervene nonetheless. They place themselves between the orca and its prey. They use their enormous bodies as shields. Sometimes they carry the prey on their bodies until it is out of the orca's reach. Why they do this is a question that has yet to receive a satisfactory scientific answer. The answer any honest observer gives, even if they phrase it cautiously, is that it seems as though the whales care, as though the sight or sound of an animal in danger triggers something in them that has the functional character of compassion. Compassion is not a human invention. It is, in its most primitive forms, something that evolution has generated in multiple lineages of social animals. Because groups in which individuals look after one another have survival advantages over groups in which each individual acts solely for themselves. Compassion, empathy, and caring for others are evolutionary adaptations. They are part of the survival kit of social animals. They are part of what it means to live in community with others of your own species, and sometimes with other species. Wolves, which for centuries were portrayed as the embodiment of threat and danger, are in fact animals of a social and emotional complexity that has only begun to be understood in recent decades. Wolf packs are not groups of competing individuals dominated by a tyrannical alpha male, as was long believed based on studies of wolves in captivity. Groups of wild wolves are families. They are groups consisting of a breeding pair and their offspring of varying ages. The dynamics of a group of wild wolves are more akin to those of a human family than to a dominance hierarchy. Wolves care for their injured and sick members. Cubs from previous years help to raise the new litters. Older, more experienced individuals pass on knowledge to the rest of the pack. Knowledge about the best hunting grounds, about the movements of prey, about the dangers of the territory. This is cultural transmission. It is knowledge that lies not in the genes, but in memory and example, passed down from individual to individual across generations. Wolves also play. Adult wolves play with one another with a regularity and enthusiasm that observers find emotionally impossible not to recognize as joy. The canid's invitation to play, that gesture with the front paws on the ground and the hindquarters raised, is recognized and responded to by both domestic dogs and wild wolves. It is a universal language. It is the language that says, "You know me and I trust you, and I want to share this moment with you for no other purpose than the moment itself." Domestic dogs, which are wolves that, over 15,000 years of coexistence with humans, have adapted so profoundly that they have developed specific cognitive abilities to understand humans that no other animal possesses, bring to their beds the same burrowing instinct that their ancestors brought to their dens. When a dog circles around before lying down, searching for the right position, when it settles down with a sigh that seems like genuine relief, when it closes its eyes and within seconds is sleeping with that absolute confidence, it is doing exactly what its nature tells it to do when night falls. Perhaps there is something to be learned from that confidence. The confidence that where you are is safe, that the people or the space around you are trustworthy, that nothing demands your attention right now. No threat, no urgency, no problem that cannot wait until tomorrow. That the only task you have right now is to let yourself go. Migratory birds undertake their longest journeys at night. The warblers, thrushes, and robins that travel from northern Europe to Africa in autumn do not fly by day. They fly by night, navigating by the stars and the Earth's magnetic field, whilst their brains alternate in a unihemispheric manner between sleep and wakefulness, sleeping whilst migrating, migrating whilst sleeping. By day they perch in bushes and woods to rest fully and feed, regaining the energy expended during the night flight. Before migrating, these birds go through a period of what scientists call Zugunruhe, a German word meaning roughly migratory restlessness, a state of physiological and behavioral agitation that precedes migration. The birds become more active than usual. They eat more than usual. Their internal magnetic compass becomes more active. Zugunruhe is the way the bird's body tells it that it is time to move. It is the desire inscribed in biology, the impulse that cannot be ignored, the call of what must be. And when the migration ends, when the bird reaches its destination and finds the tree or bush it recognizes from the previous year, when the urge to keep moving subsides, there is a rest that is both physical and something more than physical. The relief of having arrived, the stillness that follows extreme exertion, the peace of being where one ought to be. You too have arrived. Tonight, at this moment, at this place of rest that was waiting for you, monarch butterflies undertake one of the most extraordinary migrations in the animal kingdom, and they do so without any individual ever completing the entire journey. Monarch butterflies that set off in spring from their wintering grounds in the fir forests of the Michoacan Mountains in Mexico travel north to Canada and the northern United States to reproduce. But the generation that makes that journey north dies before it can return. Their daughters and granddaughters continue the journey. And it is the great-granddaughters or great-great-granddaughters of those first butterflies who, in autumn, begin the long return journey to Mexico, to forests they have never seen, but which their biology recognizes, and towards which it guides them with a precision that defies any explanation that does not include something very much like genetic memory. The monarch butterfly knows where its home is, even though it has never been there. It carries within its biology the direction of the place to which it belongs. 4 generations after its great-great-grandmothers left that forest, the butterfly returns to the same tree. Not to the exact same tree, but to the same forest, to the same mountain, to the same microclimate. The instinct guiding them is so precise that butterflies of the same species from different years alight on the same trees, to the point that the overwintering trees in Michoacan are literally covered in butterflies, their branches bending under the weight of millions of orange and black insects, creating one of the most extraordinary natural spectacles in existence. Each of us also has a sense of where we belong when we rest. Not necessarily in terms of geography, but in terms of our inner state. That place where the body says, "This is right. Here, I can let myself go." Sleep is that place for all sleeping animals. Sleep is the body's home, the state to which it returns when the demands of the outside world recede enough to allow it. Ecosystems in balance are characterized by the fact that every species within them does exactly what its nature dictates, without excess and without deficiency, and the overall result is stability. No species multiplies to the point of consuming all available resources because there are predators that regulate their populations. No plant species grows unchecked because there are herbivores that control it. Nutrients flow in cycles that keep them available indefinitely. Water follows its course. The sun's energy flows through the food chain and is dissipated as heat, and the sun continues to shine the next day so that the cycle begins anew. Equilibrium is not a static state. Equilibrium is movement. It is the dance of forces that oppose and complement one another. It is the tension between growth and restraint, between expansion and limitation, between expenditure and recovery. The balance of an ecosystem is the same kind of balance we seek when we rest. The restoration of what has been expended, the return to the state from which the next effort will be possible. A forest that has grown for centuries without disturbance reaches what ecologists call the climax, the state of maximum complexity and stability that this type of ecosystem can achieve in that location with that climate. In a climax forest, diversity is at its peak. Nutrient cycles are completely closed. Resistance to external disturbances is at its peak. It is the result of centuries of adjustments, of competition, of succession, of each species finding its place, of each niche being occupied by the organism best adapted to it. And in that climax forest, at night, everything rests in its own way. The trees have closed their stomata. The diurnal animals have sought their shelters. The nocturnal ones have gone out on patrol. The fungi continue to weave their web on the ground. The bacteria continue to decompose. A ceaseless cycle. And above all that, above that city of life that never stops entirely, but which, at night, slows its pace and changes its character. The starry sky pours its cold, silent light. There is a balance taking place within you right now. The systems that were under strain during the day relax. Those that were depleted during the day are replenished. The cells damaged by the day's normal metabolism receive the resources to repair themselves. The immune system, which peaks in activity during sleep, does its invisible work. The brain, in its different sleep phases, consolidates, cleanses, processes, organizes. You are an ecosystem, and your ecosystem is finding its balance tonight. Mammalian young sleep much more than adults. A human newborn sleeps 16 or 17 hours a day. A puppy can sleep for 20 hours. A newborn koala, which lives in its mother's pouch for the first 6 months of life, sleeps practically all the time. It is during sleep that the developing brain forms the connections that will shape it into what it is meant to be. Synapses are consolidated during sleep. The neural patterns initiated by daytime learning are fixed and integrated during the night. Physical growth, regulated by growth hormone, which is released mainly during deep sleep, occurs primarily whilst young people are asleep. Sleep builds the brain. Sleep builds the body. Sleep is, during periods of greatest growth and development, the most productive state there is, even though from the outside it may appear to be inactivity. Although we are no longer children, some of that function of sleep remains. The adult brain remains plastic. It continues to form new connections. It continues to reorganize itself in response to experience. And that reorganization occurs mainly during sleep. What you experience today, what you learned today, what you felt today is being processed right now whilst you rest. Tomorrow, it will be part of you in a more integrated and deeper way than it is right now, because sleep will have done its work. You lose nothing by sleeping. You gain integration. You gain depth. You gain the kind of understanding that only comes after rest. The animal world surrounds you tonight, even if you can't see it. Anywhere on the planet where there is land and life, animals are doing what they do at night. Bats flying, owls hunting, foxes walking through the tall grass, badgers digging, hedgehogs sniffing around, mice scurrying, and all the diurnal animals resting in their shelters, their burrows, their nests, their stables, their beds, all asleep, all part of the same rhythm that sustains you tonight. The rhythm that says the day has ended and the night has begun, and that both are part of the same cycle that has been turning since the earth began to spin on its own axis 4.5 billion years ago, and will continue to turn long after any of us, animal or plant or fungus or bacterium, have passed through here. That rhythm cradles you. That rhythm tells you that you are exactly where you should be. That what comes next is right. That the ecosystem that you are will find its balance in the stillness of this night. Like the forest, like the ocean, like the animals that sleep. Sleep.
Release the tension in your forehead. Relax the muscles around your eyes. Let your arms rest completely, heavy and warm at either side of your body. Your breath now flows naturally, like gentle waves lapping at the shore and receding effortlessly. The stories you have heard tonight slowly fade away, becoming distant whispers that you no longer need to follow. If this journey through time has served you well, you can support this space by liking, subscribing, or sharing your thoughts in the comments. That way, more people seeking rest may find refuge here. And if you are still awake, there is another story waiting in silence, ready to guide you deeper into sleep. But for now, let the voices of the past fade gently away. Let the names, dates, and events melt into the mist of the night's oblivion. The story can wait until tomorrow. Close your eyes. Let go of everything. Rest deeply, and may you have sweet dreams.